Hello and welcome to the Twilight European Network. We're doing a number of programs here about the Communicating Europe, and that is where we're looking at the facilities and the what's available to people when they come from Ireland, from a migrant background, from your refugee, and also from the asylum seeker. And with us this morning is Dierdre Finlay, who's manager with the Leargas programme, and also previously of the Wheel. So we want to just have a small chat about things that are available and a little bit about Dierdre herself, because as we discover sometimes when people have a title, we don't realise that there's a person behind the title. How are you doing, Dierdre?
I'm really good. How are you, Mercy?
Great. Listen, it was great that you took time out to come to us this morning. And maybe just to start is that maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, how you ended up in this career.
Okay. Well, I think my original interests in learning about European affairs were perhaps, it started when I actually went to what's called a European school at one stage at primary level many years ago. And when I was at that school, there was a lot of emphasis on learning from different cultures and learning languages that were from other European Union countries, and I suppose identifying with the idea of being European as opposed to being local or national person. So that was the first thing. Wow. And then obviously all through secondary school I have an interest in languages and European history and all of those nerdy things. And then when I first my first foray into, I suppose, the world of non-profits was when I worked in the development NGO sector. Then I moved into the Wheel, which is Ireland's National Association for Community and Voluntary Organisations, and now I work for Leargas. And there's a thread painted through my career, I think, in terms of working on European Union funded activity. And so now I'm in an organisation that actually facilitates and enables activities to happen at local, national and transnational level, funded by the European Union. So that's, I don't know if that's...
Yeah, no, because it's the two organisations, I think without the support that you give, it'd be very hard for NGOs to navigate their way through Europe, okay? And the kind of support you give is nearly advice on applications and programmes, is it?
Within Leargas, we have, one of the principles of our work is to provide what we call the supportive approach to organisations who are either interested in applying to our programmes or are currently managing a project within the programme. So the supportive approach is at the core of what we do. So yes, providing advice, training and guidance is a core part of the work.
Right, and you see there's many different programmes within it. You've got the kind of Erasmus Plus, you've got then all the different key actions, and you have the Solidarity Corps, and also you have languages and items like that. Could you just give us a brief idea for those who are watching that really know Leargas, but they don't really know the actual how it operates?
Yeah, so Leargas is what's called a national agency, and there's a national agency in all participating countries in the programmes. So we are the national agency for Erasmus Plus under a number of field-specific areas. So they would be adult education, youth, schools education, and also vocational education and training. So we are the organisation that manages the funds for Erasmus Plus in those fields and distributes them. But we also are the managing agency or national agency for the European Solidarity Corps, which is another programme of the European Union that enables young people to volunteer and travel.
Yeah, because they're the two now that I know our organisation, our interest is actually the Solidarity Corps, but there's another one, I think the adult education. What way does that work? Because that's, to me, is it's vital, because we'll say, like, there is a lot of people who do want to, as adults, feel that they can get further education. Is there an age limit, an upper age limit on that?
No, so the adult education strand of the Erasmus Plus programme is growing and is really important, as you say, because it fosters and enables learning for people at all ages or all stages of their lives. So it's a non-formal education, but it recognises, I think, the value of adult education that can take place in community settings. And it also is now in the new programme, it's actually enabling travel or projects that enable travel and exchange for learners. It used to be quite focused on staff, but now we're going to enable learners in the adult education field to participate as well.
Yeah, now the reason why I brought up the subject of adults, and I was wondering about the upper age limit or whatever, is that we are very active in seniors, which is people over the age of 55, and we develop programs for them, like kind of we have one, protecting and assisting senior services, which is all about financial wellness, and during COVID we did a health and wellness program. Now that age group, are they something that can get involved in the adult education side of it?
Well, I think that the way we work, Murty, is that we encourage organisations to apply for a project or a grant, and they themselves know what the best target group for their own organisation is, and they can identify where the best learning outcomes will happen. So once a project outlines, I suppose, the target group and the needs analysis and what the planned intervention is, so what kind of things are going to happen for this cohort, whether they be young or old, then it could be valid. So I think to answer your question, I suppose, absolutely, older people can participate in projects, but we will look at the organisations who are experts to identify projects and to apply for them.
Yeah, because as you know, we would have a number of friendship agreements throughout Europe, and it's something that's been coming up now, and especially it was pre-COVID, but now afterwards it's kind of seniors groups from European that were asking us, is there a way that we can come to Kilkenny and vice versa? And that's why I was wondering, can programs be built around that kind of an exchange for seniors?
Yeah, I think that, as I said, an organisation that has a good idea, that's aligned to the programme priorities, and that has that European dimension, as you say, engagement with another country or with another group of people, that could absolutely be a project idea. I think the next steps for any organisation thinking about developing projects of any kind is to get in touch with our team, to visit our website and to attend the trainings. And one of the trainings that we do is kind of like an ideas lab, or a training where you develop a project idea, you develop the target group, and I think that's where that could perhaps be explored about whether that project is a go or not.
Just back to the Erasmus Plus and the key actions where we're talking about youth exchanges and youth programs. Are they led by youth presenting them, or is it adults presenting to youth? Or do we go the whole gamut and say, right, here's a program, but the youth present it to youth?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the youth strand of our program is very important and has really high impact. We know the transformational impact that youth exchange can have on young people. So in the current program now, which runs from 2021 to 2027, there is a strand of the program called Participation Projects, where young people themselves can come together and discuss and identify an issue that's very important to them. Maybe it could be in their own community, and then put in a proposal. They can have support from a youth organisation to do that, because as an informal group, you know, it could be an undertaking to take on a project grant. But that's called our Participation Projects, and we have an example of a project that was recently granted or awarded funding in Dublin in Ballyfermot, which is about young people coming together about a skate park, something that matters to them, and they've now put in a proposal and they've been successful to do an activation project that will allow them engage with decision makers, engage with county council representatives, that kind of thing. So there are two things that can happen. Youth organisations can apply, but also young people themselves can gather together and make an application.
And am I right in saying that there's also then another strand where it's not an exchange program? Would we say a number of organisations could come to a specific country or and then it's a presentation of an actual learning activity or a course or something? Is there a program like that it's not actually exchange program, it's just the groups come to the one point and then there's an exercise there or whatever?
So you may be referring to, at Leargas we run the programmes and we promote them and we invite applications and we award funding, but we also have a programme called Training Cooperation Activities and Networking Activities, and these are training events that we run, and they facilitate contact making. So they facilitate people from different countries to come together in a particular place around a particular thematic area. And through that event or conference or 3-day meeting or whatever it is, we believe that it provides a pathway into the programs. It helps people learn about Erasmus+. It helps people understand the common ground they can find with other people. And I think those training programs, they are part of our long-term strategy to increase newcomers into the program and to kind of demystify and unpack some of the complications. So rather than going straight into application stage for a brand new organisation, you can actually participate in a training, meet people from other member states, and then maybe become more confident and more ready to apply.
Now, we've spoke about the education, the seniors and then the youth. Solidarity Corps is a wonderful opportunity for people to go abroad and spend time studying, volunteering. You know, it seems to be a very, very big undertaking for any organisation. What would you kind of explain it in as simple as possible what the European Solidarity Corps is?
Well, the European Solidarity Corps is in operation for a number of years now, and it is the successor of a previous programme called the European Voluntary Service, EVS. So it enables people aged between 18 to 30 to work on a volunteer placement in a host organisation. So organisations in Ireland that have participated, for example, would be some organisations in the homeless charities, and they are currently hosting young people to be a volunteer within that organisation. So they will learn so much, they develop their skills, they develop competences in areas they maybe didn't have before. So that's what the programme does. I think the bigger ambition of it is that it exposes young people to new cultures. It supports them to work in areas, connected, I suppose, to social justice or areas of social need. And when organisations are applying to become part of the European Solidarity Corps, they actually have to acquire what's called a quality label. And that enables them then to host and send.
Now, you've mentioned the quality label. When you apply for that, is it an automatic that you get it, or is there a specific level of your organisation has to be at? Like we say, it might be a new organisation that's applying, where we might have an organisation that's going for a number of years. Like, does the fact you've been previous experience gives you a better opportunity, to get the label? Yeah,
I think in any programme that's operated by the European Union or any national fund, experience in the area that you're applying for is always going to be part of quality assessment. And I think for the European Solidarity Corps, what we want to know is, how suited is this organisation to mentoring, supporting and developing volunteers. They shouldn't be an addition into the workforce. They need to be part of a bigger project and an overall programme for that organisation of work. And they're themselves as an intervention needs to contribute to something else. So you're right, the experience is important, but we are always assessing our organisations across a number of criteria.
Right. As I said at the beginning, this is kind of the Communicating Europe programme, and it's funded by the Department of Finance. And as we have a lot of people coming from different countries, of new communities. There are people of African descent and people of colour. And for those people that come here, I don't think, do they realise that by joining an NGO that all these facilities are there for them? Because if we look at the SICAP report, we're talking about that only 6% of them get a job, and that's 6 out of 100, and 5 out of that 6 end up in the lowest paid jobs. Like, the likes of getting involved in these programs would be the experience again would be invaluable. Like, how do a new community member, maybe say an immigrant or a migrant, get involved in these programs?
Well, I think for us at Leargas, the organisations that are working with us as beneficiaries of the programme funding, we see them as our partners. Right. And they have knowledge of the area that they are working into. Let's say it's youth, let's say it's migrant rights, or let's say it's disability. So I couldn't say whether new arrivals in the country would have high awareness of our work, but what we would hope would be that NGOs or voluntary organisations working on the ground at community level are doing that mapping, doing that tracing, are supporting people. And if they wish to apply for funding then that reaches out to cohorts of the community that we're not reaching, then we'd love to hear from them. So I don't think that we're communicating necessarily to that particular group right now, but we do want our partners to do so. We are currently planning for the next few years, as many organisations are, and one of the target areas and groups that we want to do more with under our inclusion priority are migrant communities. So we will be looking more at how we can do this mapping of organisations who work with them.
Yeah, it's a massive area because we're hopefully at the beginning of the end of COVID, but COVID must have had a massive impact on your organisation. I mean, like a lot of programs I assume were deferred and everything, yeah. So what was the effect of COVID? And now what's the plans to kind of move to the next level when we're out of it?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, Leargas adapted really swiftly and remarkably well to online tools. So we supported all of our beneficiaries throughout that period by adapting all of our training content and all of our outreach and our monitoring and support online. In terms of the impact on the programme, well, at the core of our work is international exchange and mobility. So obviously that's been impacted. Travel has greatly reduced. What we found for some organisations, particularly in the European Solidarity Corps, was that they actually withstood the impact of the pandemic quite well because volunteers go for quite a long time, so they have that time to settle in to a location and to then emerge into society, regardless of if COVID is at a high rate or not, so they can take precautions. When it came to Erasmus Plus, many projects have been deferred or extended, we might call it. And those organisations are now recommencing and looking how to bring some activities online if appropriate. Yeah,
that's when you mentioned online. I know at one stage it was a case of if you did the programme online, the grant was reduced, I think, by 30% because you didn't have to travel. Will that be something that might continue after that? Programmes can be presented online into the future without that travel grant assistance being there?
Well, the European Commission is analysing the value of virtual interaction between partner organisations, and they are certainly more open, and we are more open to learning more about how organisations plan to replicate the impact of activities that used to be face-to-face in an online space. And we're always open to innovation and new ideas. And in fact, digitalisation is one of the key priorities of our new programme. I think what I would say is that the legal base and the whole foundation of Erasmus Plus, and indeed the European Solidarity Corps, is around person-to-person, intercultural and international learning. So that would be it. So I think that we are absolutely interested in innovation. We want to know more, and at the same time, we look forward to really recommencing that face-to-face work.
And I suppose just to revert back to you yourself, okay? If there was someone watching this that said, I'd like to do what Dierdre does, and see you as a role model as such for a young person, and what would you tell them to kind of, if you're interested in this, you should really do X, Y, Z. What advice would you give to someone that's watching this?
I think I would advise people who are thinking about working in the European realm would be to move away maybe from the idea of Europeanism and European affairs and actually focus on the thematic areas that you're interested in. Maybe that's sustainability, maybe that's youth, and to develop competences in those areas. And then over time, you will find a place in this European, let's say, realm that connects into that. The second thing I'd say is that while we know English is the primary English-speaking language now of the European Commission, I still think language skills are really, really important, and they add so much to one's career. That would be another thing. And I think just overall, I've taken risks at times in my career where I've left one thing that seemed steady and permanent and I've gone into something for the passion and for this kind of interest. And I would encourage people, if they have the resilience to take those risks, to try it.
And you just mentioned something there. You said that you had the passion for it. Like that, if you have a passion for something and you like it, would you say the same? It's not really like work then, if you know what I mean.
I think in every job there are two things going on. There's the administration and there's the day-to-day, and there can be that train that you're on. Yeah. But in a job, when that's happening and it's starting to go too far, you need to reassess where's the value, where's the part I'm passionate about, what do I love, and go and find it. So you need to find places to have that equilibrium, because every job has got the day-to-day, the mundanity in it at times. But if you're passionate about a particular thing and you know that's what makes you tick, then you have to work it into your week or your month or your year to find that.
Dierdre, you've always been fantastic to ourselves. You've really looked after us, you've advised us, and you've advised me personally on it as well. And it's been a pleasure talking to you today. And I would advise any NGO or any group that is looking to go for funding in Europe, contact Leargas, because they will be the people that will guide you and advise you and make your project a success. And hopefully you'll join us again when we'll be talking to more people about the European Union and communicating Europe.